The truth finally comes out, and many XRP holders are not going to like it, but it's the harsh reality of business. And I'm sure there will be much hate in the comments, but this isn't coming from me. This actually came directly from the Chief Technology Officer over at Ripple, David Schwartz. And this comes right off another announcement from Trump about the very first crypto summit hosted by the White House, which will happen on March 7th. In just a few days. What will they talk about? Who's confirmed to go? And will Trump say anything else that significantly pumps your bags? Or will this be a nothing burger where markets hear virtually nothing new, a buy the rumor and sell the news type of an event? Already, markets are experiencing a lot of uncertainty and volatility. So much so that even Miles Dutcher said that the market is being bipolar. We're talking Bitcoin going from 95K down to 78K, back to 92K, down to 82K, and all the way back up to 90K in a period of 5 days. In other words, what happens at this very first White House Crypto Summit will likely move the market. So stay tuned, folks, because we have a lot to cover alongside some technical analysis, which will give us a good insight into what the money is actually doing into this event. And as always, if you're feeling blessed and bullish, comment 777. And if you're going to be the wealthiest person in your family tree, smash the subscribe button. Hello and welcome back to the YouTube channel. If you're new here, my name is Paul, and you can find me on Twitter or X at PauliDeFi, PauliDeFi. Here's a really cool graphic that basically shows the biggest winners of US crypto policy, or basically a US based token that is starting to hit all of the major points. And two of the only ones that actually have, which is shocking, and not shocking for one in particular, XRP, is also ADA, considering ADA virtually gets about 1.5 to 2 TPS per second. That means they're only processing 1 to 2 transactions per second, which is extremely small considering its actual market cap sitting at number 8 and $34.5 billion. In other words, a lot of the money in ADA is probably currently pretty speculative, but for whatever reason, Donald Trump decided to mention their name in the strategic crypto reserve plan. Still, it's exciting to see the fact that XRP currently sitting at, let's go ahead and look, number 3 by market cap at $144.9 billion, and just above Tether because the markets have been rallying a little bit off of those lows. Not only has ETF applications, it's also obviously made in the United States, attends the White House and all sorts of other events, and has now been mentioned by Trump. Now, at first, we weren't too sure whether or not Ripple or Brad Garlinghouse were invited. I think there was just a lot of rumors and speculation that something was off, but now we have it 100% confirmed that Brad Garlinghouse will be showing up to the March 7th White House Crypto Summit. Now, I think it's important to pay attention to any other crypto founders that will also be there. That said, we do have Michael Saylor, the guy behind MicroStrategy, now called Strategy, which is really just the Bitcoin guy. We've got Paradigm, Exodus, Chainlink, which is pretty interesting, Coinbase, Robinhood, Kraken, Crypto.com, and I'm sure other players and CEOs of companies will likely be there. So if you want a bit of alpha, I would say yes, buying into this rumor might be pretty hot for companies like Algorand, Ondo, which we're going to talk about here in a second, HNT, STX, Polkadot, or any of these other players, even like HBAR. Now, if you haven't already noticed, volatility in the crypto markets among Bitcoin and even XRP has actually slowed down quite a bit, right? We saw a huge pump on that announcement from Trump, only to watch that entire gain be clawed back with a slight retrace and now just a flat line in the price and volatility for about a day and 3 hours as of recording this video. And I believe the reason that's happening is because everyone is now waiting into the March 7th Crypto Summit. That said, they did note that this is to discuss regulatory policies, stablecoin oversight, and the potential role of Bitcoin in the US financial system. They did not mention any other cryptos. Now, David Sachs, who is the crypto and AI czar, basically has about only 2 years to push through crypto policies that are pro-crypto before 2026 and the midterm elections in the US. That's according to Joe Dahl, the general counsel for NFT marketplace Magic Eden. Now, the reason this is the case is because typically every 2 years, whoever is the current incumbent usually loses in those midterm elections. It's almost like clockwork. So while there are no additional details about the summit's agenda, I think people are holding on to their cryptos right now and just kind of waiting to see what actually happens. And by the way, there are algorithms and bots that will catch certain keywords, and the moment something very positive is said, they will buy. The moment something negative or something is left unsaid, they will sell. Now, one thing to note is the fact that Jeremy Allaire, who's the co-founder of Circle, which is behind USDC and the second largest stablecoin by market cap right behind USDT, basically argued that the US dollar-based stablecoin issuers should not get a free pass, enabling them to ignore the US law and go do whatever the hell you want wherever and sell into the United States. But that's kind of what's happened with USDT. And by the way, they always say they have third-party audits, but no one's really too sure whether or not they actually are holding on to as many dollars in reserves as they are actually issuing. So this would be huge for someone like Jeremy Allaire and also for Ripple's RLUSD stablecoin, because they are regulated inside of the United States. Now, with that said, just today, Brad Garlinghouse came out and said he's proud to support the launch of the National Cryptocurrency Association. And this association is basically chain agnostic, which means any chain is invited as long as they want to be pro-crypto in the United States. It's a non-political nonprofit, is here to help educate and raise awareness of all the utility that crypto technologies are bringing to real people every single day. And a lot of this, by the way, is going to be brought to real people as we get more clarity, more regulation, and more major institutional players adopt it and then offer it to real people. Because as we've seen, we've kind of already tapped out the retail market and those who are actually going to go and invest and mess around with DeFi, but we haven't even touched the surface of your average mom and pop shop, local business owner, or just anyone who really has money in the traditional financial system. Now, really quickly, if you haven't already, head on over to bullrunners.com. You can find the link in the description below to check out Altcoin Pro University. Just yesterday, I hosted my very first live call in the back end for all of our community members, where I actually taught them how to compare and contrast liquidity, how to choose the right crypto product to pull up on their charts, how to do technical analysis like a pro. And there's so much more, as we have a professional team of analysts and researchers that not only share altcoin picks consistently that can sometimes 5x, 10x, even 50x, but they show you how to take advantage of DeFi yields and put your crypto to work for you, get access to airdrop alerts, and the list goes on. Not only do we have strategies and guides around crypto research tools or profit-taking strategies or when to buy and when to sell, we also show you the how-tos, how to buy any crypto on any chain, how to use Telegram bots in wallets, how to avoid getting rugged or get taken advantage in terms of scams, and even how to take advantage of narratives so you're ahead of the curve when it comes to that next 100x crypto. Just one call is worth the value of this membership alone. As just yesterday, even Daniel Bueno basically stated that Paul just showed us a completely different way to look at markets. By the way, this is stuff that I do not share on the channel because this is only for our private university members. And look at what volume did. Price action, overall trend, then to confirm with the fundamentals. Top-notch technical analysis, thank you to all that you bring. Or for example, Joe basically stated that this was an amazing presentation that I shared yesterday. And then I answered his question around why so many of the same tokens are on the platform TradingView. By the way, what is TradingView? If you're new, that's the platform that I always use to chart on these videos. And so if any or all of this sounds interesting to you and you just want to check it out, head on over to bullrunners.com. You can find the link in the description below. I'll see you on the other side. You have nothing to lose and everything to gain by simply checking it out. And every single day you wait, you could be missing out on one key piece of alpha that could absolutely change your life. Now let's get back into the video. Now, let's dive into that harsh reality and truth of Ripple and their business model. Here's the reality. We currently have a max supply of 100 billion tokens. Now, the only reason the total supply is 99.98 billion is because that is the total amount minus this that has been burned. In other words, these have been burned due to fees that have been charged on all of the transactions. That said, the current circulating supply of this total supply is about 57.94 billion XRP, almost 58 billion. The rest is actually currently sitting in an escrow and is all 100% owned by Ripple, the company. They own an asset called XRP that, yes, they did create and somehow became one of the largest winners in the crypto and blockchain space. This is an asset for that company, which eventually will likely IPO and go public. Now, many people always make all sorts of rumors or get involved in conjecture surrounding how they would actually burn the supply, how they would just give it away to the Fed, or better yet, the United States government for that crypto reserve. But at the end of the day, that would be absolutely foolish as a company, and David Schwartz just confirmed it, as one tweet from a gentleman by the name of Pierre basically stated that XRP isn't a security, which is great, right? Because Ripple doesn't actually owe you utility or anything else. They are free to dump their asset, right, the token, on you and have no right to do anything about it other than join them in the dumping of XRP. That's why XRP is not a security, to which someone actually tagged the CTO, David Schwartz, in this post, and David Schwartz himself basically stated this is 100% correct. Ripple can and will dump on you, but not because they're trying to harm your investments in XRP, but because they're using XRP as an asset for their business. Ripple can, will, and should act in its own interest. In other words, Ripple truly is a company run like any other company. If the asset looks like it's not going to perform well, they're going to have to sell it. On the flip side, if it looks like it's going to perform well, they might actually buy a little bit more or just sit on their current reserve and hold it until a better day. You should not expect Ripple to act in your interest to the detriment of its own interest or those of its shareholders. By the way, Ripple, like any other company, has shareholders. There is likely going to be at some point pressure for them to sell the XRP token as more and more of those reserves in the escrow are released, and they don't put them back into the escrow because the price has topped off. They have a team of very smart people, really strong analysts. They will likely know when we're closer to the top, and yes, they will sell. And this will cause a lot of sell pressure, especially as there are less and less buyers into a bear market, which is why it's so important to learn how and when to take profit, and also why it's so important to join bullrunners.com at Altcoin Pro University, because we will be covering all of this for our community members first and foremost, definitely before the channel. And while we're at it and dispelling rumors and making sure that you get proper education and information, someone recently asked the question, which I'm going to dive into Joel Schwartz again. He said, this person asked, XRP holders, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't XRP's huge supply going to stop it from reaching high prices? I asked Grok about the burn rate. And by the way, Grok probably knows more than me and you, and typically can differentiate between factual information and a lot of conjecture and rumors, and does its best job about doing that. Okay, I'm not saying it's perfect, but it's probably more knowledgeable on most things than me and you. I asked Grok about the burn rate, and even on the high end, it said it would take centuries for its supply to come down. Would love to see what you guys know. Now, here's what's really interesting. People say, well, XRP, they're going to burn a lot of the supply, so you get really rich and the token goes up in value like crazy. But the reality today, we just learned that that is simply not true. David Schwartz basically stated that Ripple is always going to act in its best interest. They have a very successful asset. They're not just going to burn their actual money because their shareholders would not allow it. He said, I'm a large believer in efficient markets. That is that prices only significantly change over the medium to long-term time periods when something real changes. The supply is predictable and so not something likely to change, thus not likely to drive the price changes, at least in his opinion. To which he stated that markets are usually efficient over any larger period of time of a day or two. In other words, by the time you see information and news, it's typically already priced in within a day or two. So if you're starting to see, news that's exciting, like really, really exciting, and for whatever reason the price is actually failing to pump in that period of time, that means that is the current market's reaction. That is what the money is doing when they see that type of news. So it's unlikely that when you hear of something really, really exciting, it hasn't already been priced in well beforehand. Now, there are a few examples where this type of price action can happen because it truly is one of those black swan events, or in this case, a very bullish piece of news, because Trump is the one that went ahead and tweeted something before anyone ever knew it would come, with maybe a few insiders buying into it. But generally speaking, that's very rare. Generally speaking, the market is already responded to the news by the time you hear it. Now, on a more positive note, we already know that Ondo is a US-based company, and they have partnered with Ripple to bring tokenized US treasuries to the XRP ledger. We will cover this in another video because it's quite a bit. However, what I find really exciting is the fact that MasterCard is now bringing Ondo Finance into the multi-token network, or MTN, which is a blockchain that they've developed as the very first RWA provider on their network. So think about the ties now that Ripple and the RLUSD stablecoin have with Ondo, and the ties that Ondo has with MasterCard. This has potential to be huge, especially if there are some positive announcements over at the Crypto Summit. Still, as things stand, markets are kind of relatively lax right now, considering the fact, again, we've been hanging out in a range and consistently seeing a little bit of sell pressure at that $2.54 range, currently sitting at $2.50, and actually maintaining this for a period of about 4 to 5 hours, as the time is right now about 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Still, when in doubt, zoom out, and you really want to pay attention to what's happening here. Consistently, we've seen support on XRP, and actually a better support than we've seen on Bitcoin. However, Bitcoin has broke down from its range support of 91,000 and is currently back in that range, but I think it's going to take another retest of a time or two unless we get some major announcement surrounding Bitcoin. But I already think that this current crypto summit might likely be priced in, unless of course they announce they're buying Bitcoin right now, which I sincerely doubt, because I do believe they're going to need to push some things through Congress in order to get that done and get the money from a federal level to do it. So if anything, personally, I'm not really adding to my positions. I am playing pretty cautiously across the board. I'm holding any positions that I currently have, but I'm also going to be watching what happens at that March 7th crypto summit. And if you want access to any of those announcements before we share them on the channel, then head on over to bullrunners.com to check out Altcoin Pro University. Thanks so much for watching the video, my friend. I hope you learned something new. Be sure to subscribe if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.